Hi, guys. Wow, look at all you guys waiting. Wow. Wow. Hi. Hi, everybody. Um, I wish you guys could talk. I wish it was like a verbal live stream. That would be so cool. Um, hey, Verica, I haven't seen you. Where have you been? And oh boy, all of you people, so good to see you. Um, wow. Uh do, 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 do. Oh man, so many of you. Mary, Jackie, German girl, let's see, Jennifer, Kathy, and is that Antonio Net? Uh oh, we'll go back down. Wow. Maud, what are you guys are having a great conversation over there. So, how many people are there? I have my husband moderating again so that um, I can know what's going on. I really wish we could have a nice verbal one and talk. I don't know if YouTube allows that, if they have something like that. If they do, why don't we try something like that the next time? Bob, hi. Brittany, hi. Um, uh, what? No, not yet. I was gonna tell you a little bit about me. Nope, this shirt looks inside. My God, did I put my shirt on? I put my shirt on inside out. I am so sorry. Okay, you guys are gonna have to live with my shirt inside out. Okay, that's what happens when you're all like, my God, I gotta get there. So live with it. I have to live with it. Okay, there's like 19 people here. So we can I guess get started, I suppose. And uh I guess with the paranormal stuff, I thought that I would start telling you guys about a little bit about me and where I come from as far as the paranormal stuff goes, and what's going on with me and how I got weird like I am and stuff like that. So, hi Cassidy, hi Kelly, hi. Is it? I can't see. I can you read me those names so I can say hi? And yeah, Sonia and Kebs and Katie. And anyway, I started when I was really young. I didn't know that I was weird, but I was. When I was a little kid, my mom used to drag me to the doctors because I'd start talking to people that weren't there. And the doctor said, "Oh, she's just got a really good imagination." Until one day I was playing cards with the guy across the street. I didn't know he was dead. I never even knew him. My mother said, "Who are you?" She sat down in a chair, started freaking out. "You can't sit there. You can't sit there." She said, "Who's sitting there?" I said, "Mr. Ashambo." And my mother's like, "Mr. Ashambo?" And I said, "Yeah, he used to live down the street." And she said, "He's dead." And I didn't even know him. And she freaked out, dragged me back to the doctors. And the doctor said, "Oh, she just has my glasses are falling down. She just has an incredible imagination." But I didn't know him. I was like 5 years old. And that was like the first start where my mother started thinking there's something wrong with her. And then we were driving by this house, and I looked at the house and I said, "That house is on fire. That house burnt down." And the house looked fine. And the next day, the house had burnt down. And that's when my mother said, "No, you got to stop this." Stuff like that started happening. And then by the time I was a teenager, um, it was like I knew things over and over and over, to the point where the police used to sometimes come over to me and say, "So what do you think happened here? What do you think happened there?" And I used to help them out, and I was always right. And that happened until I was old enough to know I shouldn't be doing this, because they started getting a little funny with me. And so do we have any questions? Oh, I'm not awesome. I'm just like who I am. Which is any questions we have yet? Um, so so that's kind of how I got started. I started reading cards. I'm a pretty good card reader. I started reading cards when I was about 11 years old. My mom decided that to go to a card reader, and she used to drag me there after school, and I used to get really bored. So the card reader threw me a deck of cards and said, "This is how you do it." And she told me how to play with the cards I was waiting for my mom to learn to go get her cards read. And then another person who worked there would come out and play with the cards with me and show me how to read cards. So eventually I started reading cards really good. And when you're a kid, you pick up things really, really fast. And not only did I learn how to read cards, but I learned all the math on how to different cards relate with other different cards mathematically and all these different things. Um, so I ended up reading cards really, really well. And then I started mixing that with the other stuff. And then I learned all about other things and I got really into stuff. Now, um, the funny part was the ghost stuff. I could never ever stop the ghost from talking to me. And that became really problematic because I can see most ghosts, depending on the energy of the ghost, as clear as I can see people, which a lot of people can't get. There a lot of people like, "Oh, you're so full of it." And I wish I were because sometimes it's so darn annoying. And especially like when I was in the hospital having my kids, I would see like nurses walking down the hall like dressed like from the 1950s or something. And that was really really a bother. Or seeing people stumbling around or people waking me up and where am I? Um, but anyway, uh, otherwise, it's weird. One day, some years ago, we had a woman sitting in our living room. My husband has some psychic senses, obviously. That's how come we got together. We had an old French lady sitting in our living room, and she was just sitting there, and she was saying, "I'm not going to leave." She had her chin up like that, and "I'm not going to leave until you call my grandson," or was her son? Who was her son? "I'm not going to leave until you call my son and you tell him where that paperwork is. It's very important. He's about to sell the furniture in my house, and he doesn't know where the paperwork is." And we weren't gonna call him, because like who's he gonna we're gonna call up, "Hey, your mother's here on our sofa," and she says, "That's crazy. People would think we're nuts." So she would not leave until we finally call him. So then she gives us his number. Turns out he's a police officer. We're like, you know. Anyway, so we called, we left a message with him, and he was cool and he got the papers. They were there. And then she disappeared. So it was like, holy moly. Yeah. So sometimes that happens. Anyway, what we have a question. What do we got? We have a Kate S has a question.
Did you ever find it scary communicating with the dead?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I found it very scary communicating with the dead, especially when I was younger because they didn't always look fresh. Um like sometimes I would see them and they would look like, like if they were in a car accident or in a fire, they would look like that. They never looked like they had been in the grave for days like you see in a movie like zombies or something, but they did often look like how they died. And sometimes if they really scared me and they knew it, especially when I was little, they somehow were able to change how they looked. A lot of times, especially when I was a lot younger, they would come in my room at night. They would sit on my bed, and some of you probably experienced this. They would sit on my bed, and the whole side of my bed would go down, and I would like they actually had their weight on the bed, and that would scare me. I'd be afraid to open my eyes because I knew that if I opened my eyes, I would see somebody sitting on the bed. Some people don't see ghosts, but they can sense them. And so you'd be lying in your bed and you might feel like somebody's on your bed. You might even feel the bed go down. And I would feel that. And I knew 9 times out of 10, or at least 8 times out of 10, I would see someone there. Maybe not the whole person, maybe not, not a full person, but I'd see some kind of apparition, some kind of smoky thing, some kind of whatever, something, even if it was just going to be a visual blurriness or something. And when I was a little kid, that really scared me. Even when I was in my teens, it was like, please, or you'd startle, you're like, you know, and even sometimes now that'll startle me. I mean, if someone's in your house and you're like, you hear footsteps or something in your house and you wake up and it's like, did I really hear that, or was that ethereal or something? It's freaky. Um, any other question? I'm willing to answer any questions, not just about me, but anything you want to know about ghosts, how you become a ghost, about spirits, about any other kind of phenomenon that's paranormal. Anything I know, I'll tell you. And if I don't know it, I don't know it. And if I think I know it, I'll tell you this is what I think. Whatever. I don't know everything, but I'm willing to share with you what I know.
Next question.
Next question.
Gail Parker, does it sap your energy?
It depends. Some ghost, if it's a spirit, no. Spirits don't sap my glasses. Spirits don't sap my energy. Actually, some spirits actually can fill you, me, whoever, with energy. Some ghosts will drain you like you're a battery. And as a matter of fact, some ghosts drain your batteries, literally. Like one of the things we do whenever we go out ghost hunting is we bring like a brick of batteries, leave them in the car, because whatever you're using, a ghost box, a camera, whatever, the batteries can go whoop right down if you have something. And sometimes my personal body goes whoop right down. I can't tell you how many times. Now, I'm a diabetic and my blood sugars can be high. And sometimes we'll go out ghost hunting and my blood sugars will go whoop right down. And it's like they've just eaten up all that in my body. But it's not common because I've been doing it so long. It's not completely common. When I was a little kid, sometimes I would get physically ill, but I don't anymore. Any more questions?
Voice behind the door asks, I would like to ask Chris how one can know if something dark has been following me for a while.
Okay, a couple of ways you can know if something's dark. It depends on what kind of dark. Okay, if you have a negative, there's a lot of different kinds of dark. That's the problem. If it's like a really big negative dark, like something demonic, you'll know because you'll smell it. Okay. If there's something nasty, like in it comes from hell dark, I'm sorry, it'd be so blah, blah, blah. But I mean, if it's something really deep evil, you'll smell it. You'll have a smell of either rotting animals, rotting meat, vomit, whatever. It'll be around you over and over again. And that is a lot harder to get rid of. If you have something that's sort of semi-dark, terrible, awful things will be happening to you all the time. Also with that smell, terrible things will be happening to you all that time. Like, not just like you being hurt but others around you constantly being hurt, constantly getting into accidents, things like that. That's something you need to take care of. If it's sort of a natural, like, energy eater is what I call them, sort of a being that eats your energy to survive, that kind of is like a spiritual mosquito. Though it's more like a spiritual tick or something. Those cause you to feel depressed. They generate negativity in your life, and then they feed off of it. They are dark beings, but they're dark beings. And the way to know if you have one of those is to look at everything in your life and to see if the things that are happening to you, my glasses again, to see if the things that are happening to you are not are not your doing, are not anyone's doing, but everything is depressing and wrong all the time. And look back from the time it started. There's usually a moment when you can see it started. I went here, and ever since I went there, this has started happening, or ever since I went there, or ever since I saw this person, this has happened, because they tend to jump off of one person and onto another person. And the way to get rid of those is usually you need somebody who knows how to dislodge them and move them. Another way to get rid of those is to find a spot or a thing where you find joy, because they can't digest joy. And just keep sort of forcing that joy into your life until it can't stand that energy and falls off. It's really hard because they make you feel so depressed. Um, any other questions?
Next question is, oh yes, we have lots here.
Okay.
CD Bear, do you do this for a living?
Yes. Yes. This is my morning to evening, then do YouTube job. I work with people, and what I do is I'm quote an energy worker. People call me and I work with them to balance their energy, to remove any dark energy that happens to be on them. I talk to people who have problems with their energy. Sometimes I contact people who have crossed over for them, but not a lot of that. I used to do more of that, but lately people just, because a lot of people are having a hard time right now, I usually just work with making sure that everything inside of them is balanced so that the energy inside them is feeling better. I do a lot of what they call energy clearings, and I do a lot of things like I don't know what you'd really call it. There's not necessarily a name for it, but I do a lot of how would you say that? How do you think you'd say that? What I do?
Energy work.
Yeah, what kind, like, what would you say?
Helping to move energy
Yeah,
in
well,
a positive direction.
yeah, I move energy. I move darkness out of people and I refill it in such a way that they can move light into their lives to make sure that good things happen in their lives. And it really works for them. And I keep like dark beings and things that are nasty. I move it away from them and build filters around them so it doesn't come back, and I help them learn how to take care of themselves in an energetic way. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. And once in a while, I might read their cards, or I might do something like that for them. Sometimes, my husband and I, because we are actually one of the we don't. I'm allowed to tell the world, but we don't usually tell people this. We are an exorcism team. We are one of the most prominent but very quiet exorcism teams in our area. We do go out to houses, and we do clear houses that have really bad possession problems, and we do clear people who have been possessed. So, and that's a big thing.
Next
So,
question there's three questions that are similar,
okay.
and they're all about how you become a ghost.
Oh, ooh, I love that question, because how you become a ghost is one of my favorite questions. There are so many ways. People ask this question and they're blown away. I know at least 14 or 15 ways you can become a ghost. Were you guys knowing? Were you even expecting that? Okay. I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget them, but they're easy. Okay. There are 14 or 15 ways you could become a ghost. The first is to die and not know you're dead. All right. Like you might get hit by a car so fast and just keep walking across the street, not know you were hit by a car. You might something like that. You might be in an accident and not know what hit you. They say he never knew it hit him. He might not have, just kept going. Now he's a ghost. Okay. It doesn't mean these are going to make you ghosts. It just means these might make you ghosts. Another one is you may die and your child or your husband or your best friend still alive. And so you think you have to stay there and stay with them. You don't want to cross over. You don't want to go in the light or anything because you think if you do, you're going to be separated from them. So you sit there and you wait for them. And so you become a ghost and you wait around, you wait around. Chances are also this is a very bad thing to do because in all probability, because ghosts have no concept of time and they lose themselves in all kinds of things, you'll be a ghost and they'll die and they'll move on and you won't even know it. And so you're a ghost for hundreds of years waiting for them and they're already gone. And so that's a terrible way to become a ghost. Another way to become a ghost is, this is a big way, especially in the 1800s. People became ghosts because of their religious beliefs. A lot of them back then really believed in I guess some people still believe in the second coming where everyone's going to come out of their graves. And so a lot of people died and stayed with their bodies and felt that their bodies were going to come up out of the graves. And so graveyards, especially older graveyards around the 1800s, are full of ghosts. That's why you walk around a graveyard and you're like, oh my God, this place is really haunted. Because when those people died, instead of going on to their rewards, they stayed with their body waiting for the second coming of Christ. So that's another way to become a ghost. Afraid of the light. Some people see the light and they're afraid of it. They wonder, is that a false light? Or should I go into that light? Whatever. And they don't go. And then they pause so long. And remember, ghosts don't have a concept of time. They pause so long, they don't go into the light. And then the light goes away. And yeah, the light does go away, but it always comes back. But it does kind of cycle back and forth. So then they become a ghost. Let's see. They get tied to an object. Okay. Grandma loves her silver set. Grandma's so afraid that Aunt Rose is going to steal her silver set. And she'll be damned if Aunt Rose gets her silver set. So she ends up haunting the silver set. And she won't let go of that silver set. And that happens. All right. And then she gets, here's another one. Somebody dies and they're afraid they're going to go to hell, or they're afraid that they're going to have to see someone. They feel guilty because they hurt. It's like, I can never face her again, or I'm going to end up going to hell, or I got married 3 times. How am I going to face 3 husbands? Something like, and I didn't get married 3 times, but somebody like that, they're like, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? So those people are afraid to go on and they become ghosts. All right. I'm going to try to go through this list very quickly. So they're afraid to go on to the other side. They may have died with a dark force stuck to them, and the dark force is holding them down. They may be in a loop. You always hear about those ghosts like at a castle or something, that every 3rd day of the month they walk down a hall going, or you chopped my head. And those ghosts are stuck in a loop. And so they may not be full ghosts. They may be echoes of ghosts, but still they haven't completely crossed over. They may be seeking revenge. Our friend Shannon, she is not fully crossed over. She's still partly a ghost because she's after revenge. And okay, I'm going to just cut it here. A person may be stuck in a vortex of the land. Like, for example, the land, they say the Lake Superior never gives up is dead in that song. But there are parts of land that it's very easy for a ghost to get stuck in. All right, that's it for the ghosts. Okay, next question, hon.
It's from Heather Arth. How do you reach out to a certain spirit like you do in your videos?
Okay, the way to reach out to a certain spirit, the way I do it is I will just sort of focus on that spirit in my mind, and then I raise energy through the core of my body and out into my hands, and with the focus on into this part of my head, and from the core of my body, I'll have it go into my hands and then I focus on the person that I want to talk to, and I let the energy come out through my hands and into the ethereal, and see if it, like sending out a phone call, and see if they answer. And then I wait for an answer. And if I get an answer, it might take a day or two. I don't expect an answer right away. Like with some spirits that I work with a lot, I get an answer like that, or within a minute or two. If it's somebody I'm doing for the series online, because I don't know them very well. Uh, but if it's somebody near, like we're in a cemetery or we're in a hospital, or it's a somebody right here in the room, they come like that, like right there. But like, let's say I decide I'm on a contact Benjamin Franklin. I could just and say, Benjamin, are you here? Can I talk to you? Well, that's not fair because he just came. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you. Um, anyway, the anyway, um, they can come very, very quickly, but some, like Elvis, kept checking in, and he'd say, "Hi, I'm here, but I'll talk to you later. I'll do this, but I'll talk to you later." And he just kept coming. "I'll do this. I'll talk to you later." So that's kind of how that works. Uh, so it can be hit or miss. If it's someone I know, if it's a spirit that I'm close to or has a frequency that I'm close to, they're right there. Just like Benjamin Franklin just did. I wasn't expecting that. Otherwise, it can take some time. Another question?
Okay, we have a repeat question. It's about
Okay.
ghosts. That's from Bob Glasgow and
Yeah.
Beauty and the Boys. Do all people who pass become ghosts? And the Beauty and the Boys asks, why do some turn into ghosts? Which I think you pretty much addressed in the last one.
Okay.
But do all people turn into ghosts?
No, not all. Very few people turn into ghosts. I would say a couple of 1,000 turn into ghosts. Most people turn into spirits. There's a difference between spirits and ghosts. Ghosts are like that part of your mind that is connected to your body. Ghosts are that part of your mind that just sort of, it's almost like your sleeping self comes out of you when you die and just sort of hangs out, like it just kind of is there. And that's why ghosts can get frustrated and start kicking things around your house, or start doing things to you. Spirits, on the other hand, are more celestial. They've gone past being a ghost. They've gone sort of through the coffee filter of I hate my metaphors, but through the coffee filter, where they've taken off a lot of the yuck of humanity, of unhumanity, if you will, and they're more clean. They're a higher spiritual being. They're not a ghost anymore. They're not people like anymore. They're more of a clean spirit. So like when I talk to a spirit, I'm talking to somebody up here. When I talk to a ghost, I'm talking to somebody down here. So if your house is haunted, you're talking to a ghost. If you're talking to a loved one who's passed away and who is not a ghost, you're talking to a spirit. Thing is, with spirits, they can still come down to this level and tell you all about the things that happen in their life, and be very frank and very real, very human about it, and then go back up to this place, and it's just like that, doesn't matter anymore. And then above them, like if spirits are here, if spirits are here, then there are some spirits that can go even higher, and they let go of everything, and they become your guardian spirits, almost like a guardian angel spirit, and they never come down here. And those are the ones that like get into your life. They're like the angels on your shoulder, like your grandma, your grandpa, that never that are always the ones there to love you in that way, that they're on your shoulder saying all the good things to you, and they don't have any personality flaws anymore.
Oops, all right. Okay, next. Okay. A very broad question from Seamy Bear. What do you think the afterlife is like?
Well, I haven't been there, but from everybody I've talked to, in not just in these videos, but all the spirits I've talked to everywhere. I think that I think that everyone sort of has their own personal afterlife after they die, and I think that's why a lot of the people I've talked to in different places have had their own vision of the afterlife. A lot of the people in New England, where I live, a lot of the people who've passed away are Christian. So a lot of the people talk about Jesus and God in their heaven. But there are sections of our area where there is a large population of people who are non Christian, people who are believe in different Asian religions and different in our Jewish and who are Native American. We have a lot of Native Americans, and when we talk to their spirits, their heaven does not include Jesus or Christians or anything Christian, but it's still such a beautiful place, the same as the others. So I think that spirits move on to a heaven that, for whatever reason, is created as a paradise for them. Whatever God creates it, whatever higher force, whatever name you want to put on it that creates it exactly for what is perfect for them. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I think, whatever you need is there. And that's beautiful. I really believe that that's a wonderful thing. So, anything else?
Do spirit from voice behind the door? Do spirits or ghosts communicate through our dreams?
Yes. Yes, they do. There, no doubt about it. Not every dream you have is a communication from a spirit or a ghost, but they will do that. That is no doubt.
I have a question here. It's a bit broad. From Anne Sweden, do you agree that the veil is very thin now?
It depends on where you are. It really depends on where you are. There are still some places where the veil is rather thick, but it is thinner than it used to be in a lot of places, and that's really observant of you.
And I had to capture this one here from Chastity Sassy. Chastity Sassy Wah. Can spirits communicate through messages on a phone?
Yes. Yes, they can. There's lots of proof of people picking up phones and hearing people who've passed away. And there, my husband's like, me, that happened to me. And there's also people who've heard spirits interrupting in the back of phone calls that they're having with other people in between the talking. Like let's say I'm on the phone talking to you, and then there's a background voice saying, "La, la, la, la," and you hear it. I don't hear it, but when you hear it, it's somebody who's passed on talking to you, and that happens. It really does happen. People have also had televisions turn on and turn off, and when they've turned on, it's a blank channel or whatever, or even it's a real channel, but the TV's on mute, and they still hear a voice come over that happens to be a loved one.
Do we all have spirit guides?
Yes. We all have spirit guides. And when I say spirit guides, many of us have 4, 5, 6, no one has just one. It's like Lay's potato chips. No one has just one. We all have many, and they all do all kinds of things. I used to believe at one time, like, you had a spirit guide that did this, you had a spirit guide that did that, and had a spirit guide that did this. And the more I worked with spirit guides, and that's one of the things I do with people. I work with their spirit guides. I connect to their spirit guides and talk to them with their spirit guides. Yay, I remembered what I did at work. And the more I work with spirit guides, the more I realize that spirit guides work as a team quite often, and they don't just have one particular thing that they do. Some of them have one thing they do more focused than the other. Well, excuse me, but they do work as a team.
I have a question here from Verica asking about what happens to people who have committed suicide.
Okay, from what I understand, now this is only from what I understand from experiences I've had with spirits. From what I understand, if a person commits suicide, they are considered by the spirits somebody who was very, very in pain, or very, somebody who had an illness, just like if they had cancer or a broken leg or something, because people don't go, hey, I'm in a great mood, I think I'll kill myself today. It's a deep depression. And so even though this holy book or that holy book says if you kill yourself it's murder, they know in the higher realms, in the higher being, that if you do something like that, that it's because you're in a terrible illness state, and therefore there's no punishment. There's nothing held against you for it. And I think the reason why the holy books or people really push there's a punishment for this is because they don't want people to do it here on earth. But instead they really should be saying more of, if this is how you feel, let us help you, more than if this is how you feel, you're going to hell. But that's my opinion, that they should be doing it that way, instead, telling people you need help. But in fact, from everything I've experienced with all of the people I've worked with, it's more, if this what happened, it's because you have an incredible pain brought on by some kind of something in you was hurting so badly, and something in you was causing this type of something that was causing kind of an illness, and there's no reason that you should be punished in any way. And in fact, I've even seen that, well, I don't want to go into that, but um so that's what that is. And I know some people would agree with that, but that's what I've seen.
Okay. Can people who are not gifted like you also reach spirits like that with a spirit box?
Um, it it depends, okay? Hang on. It depends, because almost everybody is gifted to some extent. It's like, uh, think of it this way. I can play the piano. I was like able to sit at a piano and play it like as a kid. Blah, 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 blah. And some people really have to take lessons to play a piano. And so if you say people not gifted like me, it doesn't mean that they can't do it. It just means that maybe they need to try, take more practice. I don't think anyone can't do it. I just think more people take practice than not. And as far as spirit box goes, I think it takes practice. Um, if you don't have any if you don't have the inclination or the that spark, you can still contact somebody if the being you're working with knows how to use the spirit box. It's just that until you develop that, you have to be a lot more careful about being taken for a ride by a dark entity. Because if you can't sense the difference between light and dark because you haven't developed that yet, you're more likely to think to yourself, oh, wow, I got somebody talking back to me, and that's really cool, and not be able to feel whether or not that's something good or something bad. So you have to be super, super, super careful to protect yourself. And you have to be really careful, or maybe even start with somebody, going with somebody who has a sense of what's good, and trust your gut, because you might have, even just the fact that you're interested in this makes me believe you have something. You wouldn't be interested in this if you didn't have something. You just don't know that you have it. So trust your gut. If your gut says, I'm doing this thing in this place, and that feeling is not good, leave. But if you're like, wow, this is, I really feel like this is good, stay. Trust your gut. You wouldn't be doing this if there wasn't something there. That's what I believe.
We have two related questions here.
Okay.
One is from Abba. What is a spirit guide?
Well, a spirit guide can be many things. Like I said, a spirit guide can be a dead relative or friend who has crossed high enough towards ultimate clarity that they come back and help you, kind of help you along. Or a spirit guide can actually be a higher being that has never lived a life on earth or hasn't lived a life on earth in a long, long time. And they come back and help you or help guide you. A spirit being, if you want, you can go high enough to say a spirit being is a guardian angel. But that wouldn't be a spirit guide, that would be a guardian angel, which is in the spirit guide category. One thing about spirit guides and even guardian angels is they can only suggest to you what you should do. They can never tell you, hey, Abba, do this. This is the right thing. Pick that. They can only say, hey, Abba, it really is a better thing to do. We really think you should probably consider doing this and you shouldn't do that. And that's why when your spirit guides are working up here in your head, you don't necessarily hear, hey, that's bad. Don't do that. You hear, that's not really the best idea. And you sort of feel that funky in your, in your head, they, some people hear them, literally hear them sort of in their ears saying, that's not really the right thing to do. Or they feel that. But so some people feel their guardian angels as their conscience. Did that cover that one? I hope I got that.
Okay. There's a lot of good questions.
A lot of good questions.
Sorting them out here. Okay, Dina Goodman.
Dina?
How do you communicate and get to know your spirit guide?
How do you communicate and get to know your spirit guides? Well, that's a great question. One of the ways that you can communicate with your spirit guides, which is really, really good, is that old terrible word nobody likes, which is meditate. And I want to tell you something about meditation. When I first started meditating, I said, this is crap. I can't meditate. I have been trying for decades to sit there in the lotus position or any other position, Om and all that stuff. You guys may be great at it. There may be some of you who excel. I can't do it. Okay, so the way I meditate is, I don't know, walking around the grocery store, just letting my mind drift, doing dishes, just, getting into that state where, you're washing dishes and you're not thinking about anything. That's how I meditate. And when I'm meditating, just sort of, not letting my mind not be filled up with blah, 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 that's when I can get into a state where I can say, okay, my spirit guides, I know you're there and I just want to feel you. And then I can feel them around me. That's one way that you can sort of feel them. Another way I found that was better for me for talking to them and hearing them talk back was I started doing something called automatic writing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Let me just show you. I have a notebook over here. And what I did for automatic writing is I just took a pen and I got quiet when the bird wasn't screeching or anything. And I just started doing this. And I just said to well, of course, it's not going to work because I have it up. I just started making little loops like that. And then I just said to my spirit guides, are you around? Would you, I just want to feel you around. And as I started doing this, I started like making my hand just kind of started doing things on its own. And it started first making little hearts and little stars. And then eventually it wrote like, I love you. And it wrote little things. And then it started saying, we're here and little things like that. And I don't know if I was doing it, but I don't know if I was doing it or if they were doing it, but it meant a lot to me. And I really felt like, I felt like that was them communicating. And I did that for my grandfather too. And I mean, because of all the dead people in my life, my grandfather never never came by, never talked to me. And I felt that it was because he was having a hard time talking to me. And my grandfather's a Native American, and I think that it was hard for him. So I did the automatic writing. And when I did the automatic writing, he came and he wrote something beautiful, and I'm going to cry. And I don't want to cry. So try automatic writing, guys, when you can't get when you're stuck. And I'm gonna don't make me cry. Okay, guys, and um,
Next question.
we got some nice donors here, hon.
Yep, I was just thinking.
Oh, you did open minds, and is it Pammy? Pammy Walker. Thank you, guys. Hey, guys, I did want to tell you if anyone does super chat or put a sticker up, I really want to thank you because what we're going to do with that is we're going to try to buy new audio equipment so that my videos will be more even. So it won't be like, I can't hear you. All I can hear is you, and try to get something that try to get something that works better, because I know sometimes the ghost box is too loud and sometimes I'm too loud, and I haven't been able to figure it out, so we're going to try to get something like that going. So thank you very much. um any other questions?
We're up to,
uh,
from
Thank
Gail
you,
Parker.
Christine.
Have you ever felt fear from a spirit or ghost?
I have felt fear from a ghost, never from a spirit. Okay. I have felt more fear from dark beings, things that go bump in the night, nasty things. Ghosts are just people, and they can have really bad attitudes. Like you could, like people who are dead were once people who were alive. And the people who are alive who had bad attitudes are people who are dead who have bad attitudes. So, like, um, so that can happen. Spirits of people who've crossed over and they don't have, they're okay, they're cool. um Dark beings are nasty. Dark beings they do scare me, and but I do my best not to be scared by them, because you can't work with them if you let them be. If you It's like having a wild animal. If they know you're afraid, it's harder to work with them. I could just tell you a story. We were clearing this house. The house had a lot of ghosts in it, and it had a couple of dark beings in it that were keeping the ghost in the house. So we had to get rid of the dark beings so we could clear the ghost, so we could, excuse me, so we could get this house cleared out. And the house was from 1780, I think. The one thing about New England is we have a lot of old houses. And the house had once been a poor farm, and then it was a jail after that. So it had a lot of history. And when we started getting one of the dark beings out, a knife on the counter went flying past my husband and right at me. And luckily, I managed to trip, and it almost hit me, and it just was like a scene from a movie. It was like, and I was really terrified to kind of go back in there, because if this thing were big enough to be throwing knives, it was like, what else was it going to do? But I had to go back in. We had to go back in, and we were able to take care of it. We put up some more protection, and we got some more objects that were protective, and we went back in, and we got rid of it. But holy moly, yeah, I was afraid. I was really afraid. Um, but you got to do what you got to do. And now that house is beautiful. You should see it. They remodeled it. They absolutely made it gorgeous. And no ghosts, no dark beings, no nothing.
Glenda Jennings has a question.
Yeah.
I've asked about my spirit guides and dreamed about someone who passed away. I never dreamed about him before. Could he be one of my guides?
Oh yeah, sure. Do you know a name? if she knows the name of this person, she might even be able to look him up.
That was from Glenda Jennings.
She might find he's a long dead relative, maybe a long dead grandfather or uncle or cousin. A lot of times spirit guides are in our family, and so that's wonderful.
Next question.
Hey Kate, thank you. You guys really rock.
These are great questions from Sini Bear. This is a tough one. Is there reincarnation? I hope not. I don't want to come back here.
Oh, that's great. As far as I know, there is if you want it, but if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. That's a good question. I think, from the people I've talked to, I think it depends it depends on your belief system. I've seen people who, when I talk to them, they have relatives who are in their version of the afterlife who've been there for some time. And then I've seen other people who have said, "Oh, I've come back." And or I've had so many lives. I think it's almost like a personal choice. I actually had somebody who said, "Oh, I was on that place before, and it wasn't even here." So I don't know. I honestly don't know for sure. Um, I'll tell you, if I had a chance to come back, I wouldn't have come back here. I would have come back as this tall, beautiful, bombshell, rich blonde who'd lived to 190 and have all these gorgeous guys. You know what I mean? My husband's like, "Thank you, dear." I don't know. Honestly, I can't tell you because I've heard it both ways. I think it has to do with the version of their belief system when they enter into their particular heaven system. Do they maybe they have a choice if they want it? They can stay or they can leave. I mean, when you think that more than a zillion percent of the population has crossed over already in the whole timeline of mankind, maybe we do recycle some of us. I don't know. Thank you, Bella. You guys are awesome. So, what we got?
Can you see or read auras of people that are alive?
Yes. Not all, but yes, sometimes. It depends on a couple of things. It depends on the person's mood and the lighting and how I'm feeling. And sometimes who it is. It's like really hard on some people. Sometimes kids are easy. Oddly enough, boys are easier. I mean, men are easier than women. I don't know why that is, but that's how it is. I always wanted to do like aura photography because I thought that would be really cool, but I never tried it.
Okay, on to shadow beings.
Oh, shadow beings.
From the Beauty
Creepy.
and the Boys. When I was little, I used to see black shadows around me while I was in bed. Was that something? I haven't experienced it for a long time now.
You're very lucky you haven't experienced it for a long time now. Maybe not. When you say black shadows around you, if they were creepy and like really creepy, like, "Ooh, get away from me," it could be because those were shadow beings. Shadow beings are a class of dark beings that hang out especially around teenagers. And because teenagers have a lot of I don't want to say angst energy, but a lot of growing up energy. Like they're growing up and they're having they have a lot of libido energy, a lot of not always knowing where that libido energy is going to end up, a lot of creative energy, a lot of tension energy, a lot of growing and a lot of what it means to be a teenager and trying to be grown up, but also trying to be trying to get along with their parents, but knowing that their parents are driving them crazy energy. um Sometimes these beings that sometimes turn into poltergeists, by the way, sometimes these beings are attracted to that energy, and they surround them and kind of hang out waiting for something to happen, and they can be creepy. All right. And otherwise, these could have just been spirits, ghosts that were in the house that eventually lost interest when you got to a certain age. Um, Either way, it's kind of creepy, and I'm sorry it happened. Um, I don't know. I don't know what they were. I wasn't there, but if you were in your teens, I suspect they may have been these shadow beings.
We have another one from Verica here. Is asking you about elementals. She is an elemental spirit that she talks to who calls himself Jasper.
Very cool. Now, when people say elementals, depending on who you follow or what group you're in, elementals can mean different things to different people. I know maybe four people who two of them read two different books, and one of them was in one group, and the other one just kind of just doing her own thing, and all of them meant different things when they talked about different elementals. So I don't want to assume that I know what you mean by elemental, but I think it's really, really cool. Doesn't matter which one that you have, because all of these views of elementals were really awesome, and so I think that's really cool.
Okay. Maud Matilde, will we be reunited with our pets when we die?
Pets, that is an awesome question. And I know that there are some people who do have pets on the other side. I know, because I've seen them. So I sure hope I am, and I believe we will be. And so that means that when I get to the other side, I'm going to own a zoo. I've had so many dogs and birds, and I am going to own a zoo. I even had a horse, so I'm going to own a zoo. So, but I do know people are reunited with their pets on the other side, as long as the pet wants to. All consciousness has free will. So if your pet likes you, they're going to want to be with you, and that's where they're going to be.
Okay, I'm going to jump down here. I have another one about dogs. Can they see spirits? Chastity Sassy Woe is asking because hers goes off barking every time they're near the urn necklaces.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dogs see spirits, cats see spirits, birds see a lot of animals see spirits. Once in a while, you might get one that doesn't, but or doesn't care, you know. But they see spirits. They really, really do. And a lot of times they'll alert you that they're seeing a spirit. And that's why the dog's probably barking, saying to you, "Hey mom, aren't you aren't you seeing this? What's the matter with you? You can't see this?" Or he might even be saying, look, he's trying to talk to you. He's right there and you're not paying attention. My mother's Chihuahua. My mother ended up giving me her Chihuahua because she couldn't keep the picture of my father in the house, because anytime the Chihuahua saw a picture of my father, the Chihuahua would start barking like crazy. And she took the pictures of the Chihuahua down. I mean, the picture of my father down, and then the Chihuahua would go and bark at the window. At whoops, I'm sorry about that. The Chihuahua would bark at the window where the tree is where my father's ashes are buried. So the Chihuahua was definitely saying to my mother, "Ray's here," and she didn't want to believe it. So dogs are very psychic. Cats, I think cats are psychic, but they really, don't really care as much. Like they say, dogs have owners, cats have staff. And so, dogs are really into talking to people and telling them all kinds of things.
Lisa G is asking, what are the spirit orbs with the pulsing lights and patterns, please.
Where? Where do you see these orbs? If you see them up in the air, like in the sky, or are you seeing them like low to the ground? Because the answers are different. You have another question while she gets back to that?
Sure. Let me get one here. What is the best way to protect before tarot, EVPs, etc.?
Well, the best way to protect before any of that is to first off, depending on your belief system, to say some sort of prayer of protection. For example, if you're a Christian, say a prayer to Jesus and God, the Holy Spirit. If you're Jewish, say a prayer to um, like God, Moses. If you're uh, whatever, to Shiva, to whoever it is that protects you, um, to your spirit guides, to then to uh, what I always do is I will put salt around the area and make a barrier. I'll sprinkle it lightly, and you don't have to like even see the salt. I would just lightly sprinkle the salt like around the table, and I would just say that this is I'm creating a holy barrier that nothing can come through. And of course, if you're in a graveyard, you can't do that. But if I'm doing it like a tarot reading or something, I will do that. And then I have certain things like I have sweetgrass and I have juniper and I have sacred tobacco. Most people don't have access to all of these things. We use real sweetgrass. I don't buy the smudge sticks because we have a area here in New England where a bunch of it grows, and so we just pick it wild and make our own braids of it. But anyway, you can smudge the area before you do anything that's going to be really high stuff. If it's just tarot, you don't need to do all that protection. But if you're going to be doing something bigger than that, you want to have that protection. That's all. Also, you can use like crystals. I have a lapis lazuli crystal, and lapis is for the truth. I use that when I do tarot. I have that one next to me, and this is citrine. Opens the heart chakra, but citrine's also good to make sure positive energy is around. Um, and of course, you can have quartz. Where's my smoky quartz? Oh, and this is snowflake obsidian. Obsidian absorbs negativity, and and I couldn't get black obsidian, so I got snowflake obsidian, which I'm hoping is okay. Hasn't seemed to have any problems yet, and and then other than that, I have some jet. Jet is not actually a rock; it's petrified wood that's black. They used to use it in jewelry back in the early 1900s, and it's a very, very good absorber of negative energy. So that's what I have.
And we have a quick question here.
Yeah.
I'm saying this sarcastically. Do you believe in aliens or extraterrestrials?
Yes, I do. Is that the question about the lights in the sky? I know some people would say that's weird, but hey, other people might think you're weird for believing in ghosts, but yes, I do believe in aliens and extraterrestrials. I'm sorry. I also believe that's just my insulin pump. I believe in my insulin pump. And I do believe in aliens and extraterrestrials, and I'm sorry if that bothers some people.
Where do I buy crystals? From Melissa.
Oh, there's lots and lots of places you can buy pretzels. I must be getting hungry. There's lots of places where you can buy crystals. I got some of them on Etsy, and there's a big crystal shop not far from my house. I got some of them there, but they're expensive. You can also get them on eBay, but I think they were a little expensive. I know that there's a place where they sell them in New York. I can get that address and I will put that up in the comments of one of my videos, and you guys can check that out.
What are round, transparent white orbs in photos? Are they spirits?
Some are, some aren't. Okay. There's a couple of ways to know if they're spirits and not dust orbs, because some of them are dust orbs. I should put up a video on how to tell the difference, because it's a bit complicated. The ones that are round and have little smiley faces in them and dots, those generally are dust, which is kind of sad because people are like, oh, look, my relatives are smiling at me. And in general, those are dust, and that's kind of a bummer. But the ones that are nice and solid usually are spirits. And dust orbs tend to well, you know what? I don't want to even answer this one yet. Let me put up the video because the video is going to have all kinds of examples of real and not real and probably real. And if you ever get an orb that's in front of something, oh, I mean, in behind something, like let's say you have a chair here and then the orb is behind it like that, you know for sure, 100% for sure that that's a ghost. Okay. Because dust orbs will never ever be behind something. Um, that's all I can say now, but I'll put up that video and it'll explain everything. Okay.
Okay, I think I found Ocean 100, Ocean Sound 100. I think I found the question they were
Okay.
looking for. I'm clairvoyant. I vision when I'm tired of people and see them the very next day, either walking out of a store right past my house. What does that mean? Am I supposed to speak to them?
Whew. So when you get tired of someone, you see them the next day. Well, it depends on, I guess it depends on if you have something to say to them. I think that being clairvoyant and then seeing them the next day, um, it's very hard for me to fill in the blanks there. But what I'm getting from my head when I think of that, give me a minute. No, you don't have to speak to them. You, in your mind, you're thinking you're tired, you're done with them. It's almost like your last goodbye. You don't have to speak with them. It's like a confirmation. You don't need, you're done. Nope, it's just your confirmation. So your last chance. It's sort of like, there's your last chance. You want to change your mind? It's there. If you don't want to change your mind, you don't have to. That's all.
And it looks like we've reached the end of our little.
I feel asking, but silly asking, but my parents. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, we'll let's see, what time is it? It's been an hour and 7. Why don't we go to 15, an hour 15?
Okay, yeah. Well, here's one I had. I didn't flag it earlier. I didn't. I had it flagged, but didn't read it. It's a delicate question about what happens to babies that are miscarried. Are they waiting on the other side for their parent?
Well, I from what I seen, it depends on how far along the miscarriage was. If the miscarriage is like second or mid second to third semester, it appears that they are. If it's early in the pregnancy, well, I'm so sorry about that. Then we're probably going to have to go soon. If it's early in the pregnancy, it seems like they aren't. And I'm sorry if that hurts anybody, but it's later in the pregnancy, they are. And I know that a woman was crossing over. I happened to be at a nursing home, and I was visiting someone at the nursing home, and the woman in the bed next to my aunt was passing away, and she said, "Oh, my babies, my 7 beautiful babies are here," and the nurse said to her, "Aren't they beautiful?" or something like that. And she said, "All seven of them." And she went, "Oh no, two were girls." And she was like, "Oh, they're girls, they're girls." And we talked late. We were talking after the woman didn't actually pass away at that point, but she was passing away. And and the nurse said that happens a lot. And she said she didn't actually have seven; she had three kids, and but she had four miscarriages, and she's seeing the babies from the miscarriage. She said that happens a lot. So that's all I know about that. I know that like Lacey's baby wasn't born and he's there. So,
And CD Bear is asking, are there things you do not tell people when they come to you for readings?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. There are a lot of things I've learned. I used to tell every people every single thing. But I've learned over the years, too much information, it can be very, very painful. So there are some things I don't tell people. Like, for example, they ask me, so tell me about my dad. What was my dad doing when he died? For example, all right, I really hurt somebody once when they said to me, my dad died. He was driving home from getting groceries in blah, blah, blah. And it was like, no, your dad was driving home from his girlfriend's house. And I I said, before she said getting groceries, I said, yeah, not. And I see your dad's driving home from his girlfriend's house, blah, blah, blah. And she says, no, he was out getting groceries. And I was like, I mean, I felt so bad. Later on, later on, she found out that it's true that her dad was having an affair, but I felt so horrible. And, or bringing up things like when I'm looking at somebody in a face to face thing, not over line, but I'm looking at somebody and I'm reading their energy and I'm reading something. And I might say to them, I feel that you have something that's not right in your kidneys. And I really want you to go get that checked. And they're like, oh, can't you send me to an herbalist, or can you send me? And I'm like, I really want you to go get that checked by a doctor. And most of the people I see will not go to a medical doctor, and I have to push them. And they'll say, I really want to, and I'll push them. And in the past, I just push them. But in the past, I'd say, I see cancer. I feel like you have cancer in your, and they'd be like, oh my God, oh my God. And so now I just sort of suggest it, and then they go and then they find out what it is. And I'm not scaring anybody. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like that. Usually it has to do with people's fidelity or infidelity. I would say, I'm cheating. I know you're cheating on your husband, and that's not, how did you know? I stay away from that stuff now. Or telling someone they're, stuff like that. I don't want to bring hurt to anybody. God forbid you tell them, I know where you're hiding the body.
Okay,
Okay.
Kate S.
Two more questions.
Okay, there's one here. I'm not clear on exactly who they're asking, but I'm going to read it anyway. I'd like to know, if we don't get any sign, does it mean that the person who passed on doesn't want to hear from us?
No, not always. Okay. It could be if you say, please give me a sign that you're hearing me. It could be a couple of things. It could be that, oh, I'm so sorry about that buzzing. It could be that it could be that, yeah, they're not hearing you. Um, and that they simply aren't hearing you. It could be that they are not, that they're busy. People do get busy on the other side. Could be that they have, if this is your thing, that they have reincarnated. And so they're not on the other side to hear you. It could be that, it could just be that they think you're better off without them uh, bothering you. They're probably thinking to themselves, I don't want her to get dependent on my being here. Another thing, one of the things I need to tell you, I didn't tell you about in Ghost. One of the biggest ways, especially for famous people, to become a ghost, and it can happen with somebody in your family, is if after a proper amount of grieving, you don't let them go. All right. And then they end up like being held down. And like that happened, of all things, that happened with Michael Jackson. So many people were holding on. Oh, poor Michael, I grieve Michael, blah, blah, blah. Michael had a hard time crossing over because everyone was still pulling him down. And that can happen like if somebody dies in your family, say a husband or a grandfather or a wife or a grandmother, and everyone's just like, oh, please come back. I want you, and I'm sorry, being so dramatic. But when that happens, sometimes their soul can't cross over because you keep pulling them back. And but sometimes if somebody's died and you're trying to get them to contact you, sometimes they might feel that it's only going to bring your grief back and make you want to pull them too. So it doesn't mean that they're not listening usually. It just usually means that they feel in some way making contact with you might start your grief again.
I have a question. I think this is the second time we've asked here, and my apologies for not bringing it up earlier. Candy Cane is asking if anyone can move a pendulum or do you have to have abilities?
Okay, about pendulums. I don't trust them, okay? Because there's something called micro muscle movement. And I have found that when you hold a pendulum or you douse with a pendulum, you can make micro muscle movements to make it go on that thing. You can make micro muscle movements to make it go any way you want. And I I really I want to believe in them. I really, really want to believe in them. But the only way I can use a pendulum and believe in it is if I put a pendulum on a stand. Like I would like make a stand or like get a fork or a spoon or something and put it on something like so it's totally untouched. It's on the table and it's hanging on like hanging like I have have some kind of stand. So it's hanging on something like this. And then I ask questions and I see if the pendulum moves. That's the only way I can use a pendulum. Otherwise, it doesn't work. I can't trust it. But anyone can use a pendulum if you're honest. If you're 100% honest using a pendulum in your fingers, it probably won't move. Um, because pendulums often move by micro movements. Theoretically, that is your own psychic sense moving the pendulum. So you are answering your own question through your fingers, through your own psychic senses. You're like, let's say, if I say, is the answer yes or no? Um, I intuitively answer it here, get it through my muscles, and then make my muscles answer it. I mean, the movement would never be that big. But if you actually want to know if the pendulum is doing it, you'd do it this way. So that's up to you. I mean, it is a tool if you realize where it's coming from.
As we near the end of our window, there are a number of people who have asked about whether you do readings and special sessions with them, how they could get in touch with you.
Okay. I was gonna do readings. Oh, I am so sorry. I don't know why that's doing that. It must be some kind of alarm. I was gonna be doing readings with people here, but it kind of got complicated. I started emailing some people back, and and it just kind of got complicated. So I decided that that probably wasn't going to work out that well, and so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I can. The other thing is that when I did contact some people back, They were surprised to find out that if I did readings, I would have to do them through my business. And I don't want to talk about business on YouTube because that's not allowed. So I can't even talk about that. And what can I do? So I don't know. We'll talk. We'll. You guys can email me, and we can talk on about that later. And let's see. Is there anything else
I
that?
think we're at the end of our window here.
I guess we're at the end of the window. Um, anyway, it's so great to see you guys, and I'm really, really glad you can. Really, really glad that you can that you came by. I don't have a Facebook, I don't have an Instagram, I don't have any of those things because I don't know how to use them. So I'm going to be trying to focus on getting that stuff going. And if you guys have any crazy ideas, just let me know. And you guys are the absolutely best in the world. You guys are fantastic. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. And you guys are the reason why I do this. You're fantastic. I absolutely adore you guys. And I will see you on the 16th. Um, we'll be back and then I'll do readings. I'll do some actual readings for you guys. Okay? Is that all right? I wish I could hear them. Huh? Is that all right? All right. Love you guys. Bye.